Maybe use Janet's. Use Janet's.
It's devil possessed.
The committee come to order. Please call the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. A few housekeeping orders before we get started. These bills will go by for the day, House Bill 553, Delegate Watts, and House Bill 630, Delegate Hurst. So if those two are here, those will be going by for the week. Also, just to let you know, delegates, if you have a resolution or study where their legislative members and the legislative members are not equal between the House and the Senate, we will be making them equal. Making them equal in terms of the number of House members and the number of Senate members, just to let you know that up front. Okay. So we will begin with Delegate Hope.
Good morning.
Oh,
Madam Chair.
also, we will be having a fast stop at 11, so we don't need a lot of dialogue. Page one. On your.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is House Bill 659. I'm carrying this bill on behalf of the ARC of Virginia. They've had a number of families that have children that had been incarcerated in the Department of Corrections, kids with autism and other disabilities. That this bill asks for is the Department of Corrections to form a work group with other disability advocates to develop guidelines or to improve upon their current guidelines of how to treat people with disabilities while they're incarcerated.
And this work group will be consisted of whom?
Disability advocates and, of course, the Department of Corrections.
Okay. Are there any questions? Anyone in the audience to speak in favor? Is there any opposition? Are you here to speak in favor?
Yes, ma'am. Pardon me, Ashley Wright, representing the ARC of Virginia. We're very grateful to Delegate Hope for bringing this forward, and we wholeheartedly support this bill. Thank you.
Move to report.
Moved and seconded that House Bill 659 be reported. Please indicate your support or denial on the board. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ayes
Yeas.
11, noes 0.
Yeas 11, noes 0. That bill's reported. Delegate Byrne?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. House Bill 1626 just provides that when
Page 6 on your docket.
this bill I'm carrying for the Capitol Police, this bill provides that when the Capitol Police canine officers are called to assist another jurisdiction, that they'll have concurrent jurisdiction with that.
I think we had it. We had a companion bill, Senator Edwards, Senate Bill 996, to this bill.
Move to report.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that House Bill 1626 be reported. All those in favor, please vote on your board.
Ayes 11, noes 1.
Ayes 11, noes 1. That bill's reported.
I
Thank you,
thank the committee
Delegate.
for the time.
Delegate Hayes.
Morning, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 909.
House Bill 909.
Sorry? I'm sorry, HJ. It's been
200.
now.
HJ
Oh,
200. Is this a,
It's a similar bill to Senate Bill 513. It's a driver's license suspension for certain non-driving related offenses, and it removes the existing provisions that allow a person's driver's license to be suspended for certain fees and fines that the individual had carrying on behalf of the administration.
Is this memorializing Congress or the federal government to do something?
Madam Chair, this is a different situation. There's a federal law that says that if the state, there's a provision that says that the state has to have a law in place that will suspend a driver's license for 6 months for a drug offense. And the process says that if the state wants to do something different, they have to have a resolution expressing the General Assembly's disagreement with that requirement, as well as a statute. So if that doesn't happen, then the state will lose 10% of federal transportation funding.
Madam
so it's
Chair.
a little different.
Madam Chair,
Senator Peterson?
I think it's fair to say typically we don't do memorializing resolutions, but it sounds like this one actually has substance to it. Is that a fair summary?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It is, Senator.
Senator Howard? It's been moved and seconded that HJ 200 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Hayes. Delegate Davis.
Yes, ma'am. And we have a substitute, but we won't be needing it. So it'll be the one that you see in front of you. And it's House Bill 347, Madam Chairman. This, over the years, we've had a growth in the use of medical cannabis. The General Assembly has done some amazing things, allowing that to be put out there for those who need it with challenges that they're facing. All this does is convenes a work group that allows us to examine the expansion of this program so those that need it the most have access to it. As y'all know, right now there's only 5 licenses out there in the Commonwealth of Virginia, only 5 locations for dispensing of the product, and then there's some discussion of what we may need to look at as this opportunity continues to grow. That's all it does. And thinking ahead, Madam Chairwoman, we actually do have equal representation already.
Good job.
Madam Chair.
Senator Marsden.
Madam Chair, this is a critical thing to formalize. I've been attempting to do this over the years informally and pulling work groups together with VDACs and what have you, but to get a group that can come and vet legislative ideas ahead of time and do that is critical. This is a very complicated industry. It's got a lot of moving parts. I think it's time we do this, and I think this is a strong effort, and I support it.
Are there those here in support of House Bill 347?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jen Michelle Padini on behalf of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. We support the bill.
Good morning, Ashley Allen on behalf of Dharma Pharmaceuticals, one of the processors located in Bristol, and we support the bill.
Good morning, Randy Pearson on behalf of Columbia Care, processor in HSA 5. We also are in strong support of the bill. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, James Pickrell with Greenleaf Medical Virginia, the pharmaceutical process for HSA 4, and we also support the bill.
Anyone in opposition? Any questions? House Bill 347 in front of us. Move to report. It's been moved and seconded House Bill 347 be reported. Please indicate your preference.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. That bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Delegate Guzman.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I have 2. Which one we're doing first?
Knock yourself out.
All right. So I'll start with House Joint Resolution 52.
That is on page 3. Okay.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. This resolution comes to you with unanimous support from the House. It talks about prescription, creating a work group that will deal with prescription drug prices. We had different bills in the House that were incorporated into these bills. We have listened to our constituents, and they wanted us to work on prescription drug prices. So this work group was a compromise to many stakeholders. We all know that prescription drug prices nationwide are extremely high for some drugs that have not seen no changes in production costs. We have seen the prices rise to a few $100 for what they used to be. This bill sets up a work group to come up with solutions to address the cost of drugs in the Commonwealth. We look at starting a drug affordability board, and the Secretary's office recommended this instead, to do a more expansive work group and come up with solutions by looking at the whole pharmaceutical distribution system. We work with brands and generics, and everyone is comfortable with the language, and I hope this is support to pass this bill.
Oh, don't say it, don't say it again. So who would be a part of this work group?
Okay. The work group shall include a representative from the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, the Association for Accessible Medicines, Virginia Biotech Association, Pharmaceutical Care Management Association, the Virginia Association of Health Plans, and Virginia patient representatives.
Okay. Are there any questions? Those in support? Anyone in opposition?
I move the report.
Second. Moved and seconded that House Joint Resolution 52 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that's reported. You have House Bill 1639.
Yes, Madam Chair. I have a substitute. And if I can move, I have substitute before that.
Need a motion on the substitute? There's a substitute. It's been moved and seconded that the substitute be adopted. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, we have the substitute before us.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. The substitute before you reflects most of the changes recommended by the Department of Environmental Quality. These changes would allow for the report to be given to different agencies with purview over aspects of the issue, as well as VACO and VML. This bill is talking about the dumping of excavation field dirt from construction sites on rural lands. This has become a significant problem in multiple counties in Virginia. Increasingly, many in the construction industry are looking to rural lands as a cheaper alternative to disposing of construction field in regulated sites. Without proper oversight, the practice of dumping construction site field dirt on rural lands come with significant negative impacts for my constituents, Madam Chair, with adjoining landowners often getting the hardest hit. Those impacts include soil, erosion, flooding, dust, noise, truck traffic, damage to public roads, loss of productivity of underlying agricultural soils, and potential contamination of land and water resources. I'm bringing this bill before you for Fauquier County. And also, I wanted you to be aware that we got a fiscal impact after engrossment, and the fiscal impact says that DEQ will absorb the cost of this work group, and that's why there was not additional budget amendment necessary. The work group includes a representative from DEQ, the Department of Forestry, the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, the Virginia Department of Transportation, nonprofit environmental organizations, the waste disposal industry, the trucking industry, the Virginia chapter of the American Planning Association, the Virginia Farm Bureau, the Virginia Agribusiness Council, the Virginia Association of Counties, the Home Builders Association, the road construction industry, and the Virginia Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts. This bill comes before you with bipartisan support, and I hope it is the will of these committee members to pass.
Are there any questions? Anyone here in support of this legislation?
Madam Chair, Eldon James on behalf of Fauquier County, and we strongly support this bill and think this will help us clarify some holes in the regulations between state and local regulations that are governing these types of problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Bob Shippey with Sierra Club, we support the bill.
Thank you. Anyone here in opposition? Senator Deeds.
I just want to understand, this is about, people that allow or sell to contractors the right to dump their stuff on their property? Is that what this is about?
Yes, essentially.
Okay, Madam Chair, why can't a locality take care of this through their existing ordinance?
That's a perfect question. The problem is there's an agricultural fill exemption, and there are some bad actors who are using that exemption to get around local regulation, and you don't find out until later that it is a much bigger fill operation.
But Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds,
isn't that a local exemption, or is that
no? That's a state exemption.
Statewide exemption?
Yes. Which has put us in a bind.
Senator Saslaw.
Are you talking about just regular soil or contaminated soil?
It's regular fill soil. If it is contaminated, then DEQ has jurisdiction. That part is clear.
All right.
Senator Howell, move to report. Second. Moved and seconded that House Bill 1639 be reported.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask the chairman of the Finance and Appropriations Committee, as I read it, this DEQ anticipates $50,000 for contractual support on this bill. Is that something that's covered in the budget, you think?
I spoke this morning to April Keys. She said that the items that we have before us today, we can absorb.
Okay.
The motion is to report. Please indicate on the electronic board.
Ayes 12, noes 3.
Ayes 12, noes 3. That bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
Thank
members
you.
of the committee.
Delegate Aird.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. You should have House Bill 1699 before you.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill, before I start, I believe there's a line amendment I asked be reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The amendment would be line 20, after Virginia, insert the Virginia Organization of Consumers Asserting Leadership.
Need a motion on that amendment?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we adopt the amendment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, that amendment is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1699 has asked the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services to establish a work group to conduct a comprehensive review of who can conduct a temporary detention order evaluation and answer the question of is limiting who may conduct a often known as TDO evaluation, and the best interest of stakeholders in Virginia's behavioral health developmental services. Madam Chair, members of the committee, as we work in the Commonwealth to right-size our behavioral health system, we are trying to determine the best processes and mechanisms moving forward. So in Virginia, at this time, the only individuals who can conduct these are Virginia Community Service Board and emergency workers, but in 31 other states, it's also allowed
Chair.
that.
Sorry, Madam, we had a Senate companion to this, right?
Correct. What is the difference, amigo, between House Bill 1699 and Senate Bill 768?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that the Senate bill includes, among the organizations, the Medical Society of Virginia. And I think the House bill includes a provision that the work group consider other states' experiences in expanding the individuals who may conduct evaluations of persons subject to the emergency custody orders.
Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair, I would suggest that we adopt amendments to make this study as broad as possible, so that would include whatever additional additional requests that the House has, plus the additional group the Senate has.
I would consider that friendly, Madam Chair.
Okay. So, so are we conforming the two?
Well, I'm not sure, Madam Chair, I'm not sure we're conforming because we're taking bits and pieces from both bills. But it seems to me like that we're asking for the right questions, or they're asking the right questions, and we've got additional groups that ought to be at the table.
And so, Madam Chair, is it accurate to say that Senator Barker's would be conformed to this version?
Well,
has his been heard on your side?
I'm not certain.
As I understand, Madam Chair, his would include an additional group. And I'm asking that his groups be included in your bill, but that the substance of your bill be what is before us.
So may I ask that the Medical Society of Virginia then be added to this bill?
Because that's the only difference.
Madam Chair, I think that it's my understanding that the Senate bill has been conformed to this bill. If it doesn't have the amendment that you just put on today, then that would have to happen. But yes, to make it conform, it would be to add this additional, to add the Medical Society of Virginia, and that's another amendment that we can put on today to this one.
So what are we moving? To add the Medical Society?
Yes, the Second Amendment.
Okay, so all in favor of that amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. So are we good?
I think so, Madam
Okay. Chair. We have House Bill 1699.
The report.
Moved and seconded, House Bill 1699 be reported.
I thank the committee.
Okay, wait a minute. You need a vote. Please indicate.
It's 15, no 0.
Now I
Ayes
thank the
15,
committee.
no 0. Okay. Delegate Reed.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. House Joint Resolution 64. I'm sorry. House Joint Resolution 64 is directing the Virginia IT Agency to conduct a ransomware study. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, ransomware is a type of malicious software designed to block access to a computer system or computer files until a sum of money is paid. Recently, governments of various sizes have come under attack from ransomware. Even if ransoms are paid, massive costs to rebuild and defend IT systems are incurred. Some examples just from 2019 include the city of Baltimore was asked to pay $67,000 to hackers after their system was taken over. The fallout has cost the city of Baltimore almost $18.2 million. The city of Riviera Beach in Florida paid about $600,000 in ransom, and the city of New Orleans declared a state of emergency after their systems were taken over. So the proposed study would assess our readiness for a ransomware attack. In order for our localities to be fully prepared, we need to be sure that we are providing them with best practices on how to be able to protect their IT infrastructure and personally identifiable information. And again, in 2019, over 140 attacks were reported by local governments, schools, and police stations. This is up 65% from 2018, when just 85 attacks were reported. So again, this is to direct VITA to conduct a ransomware study and provide best practices to localities.
Are there any questions to the delegate? Those in support? Any opposition? Moved and seconded that House Joint Resolution 64 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee members.
Delegate Lopez.
Page 4.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Good morning.
HJ 92, Madam Chair, would require the Office of Drinking Water in the Department of Health to initiate an objective review of the Commonwealth's current drinking water infrastructure and oversight of the drinking water program. We haven't really done one of these in a very long time. The objective review shall identify problems or issues that may result in the contamination of drinking water with lead or copper, or increase the or other substances that might increase the likelihood of contamination in drinking water. It also develop recommendations for addressing such problems or issues. I hope it's the will of the committee to pass this resolution, ma'am.
Are there any questions to Delegate Lopez? Those here in support?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Bob Shippey with Sierra Club, we strongly support this measure.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Kim Jermaine, Virginia LCV, we support the bill.
Anyone here in opposition?
I move to report.
All those in favor?
Aye.
One opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is it working?
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. HB 854 is a bill to direct the Department of Housing and Community Development and the Virginia Housing and Development Authority to convene a stakeholder advisory group to determine the quality and quantity of affordable housing across the Commonwealth. At this time, we know there's a critical shortage in affordable housing in many areas of Virginia. It's housing that's necessary to support our public employees, our teachers, our firefighters, and police, and it's critical to continuing the success of attracting new businesses to our Commonwealth. The advisory group will be individuals with expertise in affordable housing, real estate finance, land development, and more. And so it passed 99-0 in the House, and I'm hoping that you will consider passing it as well.
Just a question, just a comment, 99 to nothing in the House doesn't mean anything to us. Okay.
Well, I liked the sound of it, though.
Okay, all right. Are there any questions to the delegate? Are there those here in support?
Madam Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Mindy Carlin. I represent the Northern Virginia Chamber Partnership, which includes the Dulles Regional, Greater Reston, Greater McLean, Tysons Regional, and Loudoun County Chambers, and we strongly support this bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Scott McGarry, Washington Gas. We support the bill, as does the Arlington, Northern Virginia, Prince William Chambers of Commerce, and also the Northern Virginia Building Industry Association. Hope it'll be a pleasure to report it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone here in opposition?
Second.
Moved and seconded that House Bill 854 be reported. Please indicate your vote on the board. Who has McDougal? Okay.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. Bill's reported.
Thank you so much.
Delegate McQuinn.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Madam Chair, I have two bills. House Bill 1719, Prescribed Pediatric Extended Care Center Program. House Bill 1719 is asking that, and there was an amendment, so let me.
We'll report the amendment.
It was changing the Commissioner of Health to the Commissioner of Social Services. Okay. Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you. Madam Chair and members of the committee, This commission for the prescribed pediatric extended care program is a program that that we're asking, first of all, that the commission to establish a work group to develop a plan for the licensure of prescribed pediatric extended care centers in the Commonwealth. At the moment, they do not exist, and it is an opportunity to create actually a one-stop shop for young people or for kids who may be eligible for this program. It will provide medical needs and technological dependence needs. It occurs now. It's already established in many places in Florida, Kentucky, and other states are looking at it as well. But it really is, again, an opportunity to look at how do we establish it and how would it benefit young people who have special needs. And then they will come with recommendations to the General Assembly afterwards.
Are there questions?
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Senator Favola.
Thank you. My question is these pediatric, I guess, centers, the one-stop shopping, which is a really good idea. I would expect they would be open. Are they open to any potential pediatric patient who may meet the certain criteria? In other words, they're not. It's not an income-based or an income test to use this center.
No, it would be open, but there would be kids, young people who are, or those patients who will be eligible through Medicare as well as anyone else who wants to be a part of it.
Medicaid children as well.
Medicaid children, yes.
As well as others.
Yes.
And there, and a follow-up question.
Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So there would be a fee for service and insurance could be accepted. It's really a health care social service model blended together.
Yes. Again, as I said earlier, sort of, and maybe for lack of better terminology, a one-stop shop where a young person who may have multiple challenges, health challenges, where at this one stop, all of the services will be provided for them.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And again, this is to study, to create a work group to look at the whole issue and then come back with recommendations.
Other questions? Those in the audience in support? Anyone in opposition?
Second.
Moved and seconded, House Bill 1719 be reported. Please indicate you on board.
Ayes 13, no 0.
Ayes 13, no 0. That bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. The House Bill 1519 is the next bill, and this bill is asking that we would create, a commission would be created to study the issue of slavery, the facts and the effects of it. It would create the commission, and overall, it'll be a 2-year commission that will overall look at the multiplicity of challenges from slavery to massive resistance, and then report back in terms of what was found, how do we educate the public about it historically, what happened, what occurred. And the reason that we're asking for this, I guess in terms of the history books, it has been left out of the equation. Generations have come and they have expired, and much of this history has been lost or either didn't exist. And so this is an opportunity now to go and look at it. The Library of Virginia would be the agent that would take the lead, and then there would be several individuals from the Senate and the House, as well as scholars that will come and help us to, again, establish and gather the information as it relates to this.
Madam Chair.
Delegate McQuinn, I believe that on this commission, there was not an equal representation of members of the Senate and the House.
Yes, ma'am, and I think you made it clear what you wanted, Madam Chair.
So we need to equalize that.
Madam Chair.
Second. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we need to equalize the members of the House and the Senate. All those in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Okay. Who was called, who was?
Senator McPike.
Senator McPike. Senator
Madam
Howard.
Chair, I know what I'm about to say has nothing to do with your resolution or what
okay.
you're trying to accomplish, but something I really wish we could look at some point is how massive resistance and continuing efforts to continue segregation impacted the white community.
Okay.
Closing the schools has had an impact not only on African Americans, but also on the whites. And that
Yes.
region has never recovered. And on the Senate side, we often hear that South Side especially, was the wealthiest part of the state. And I think we at some point need to look at why they are no longer. And I suspect it goes back to the massive resistance.
I don't know if you wanted to respond. I agree. I mean, it's a part, the compilation of information really could help address all of it, because one of the things that we talk about, or we try to move forward to help better understand, again, slavery, Jim Crow, massive resistance, and the Black Code, but the white communities across the nation were impacted also by this. And I don't know if we fully understand the degree. Yeah.
Senator Peterson.
And I want to respond to my colleague, Senator Howell. My family's from Fairfax. My mother went to a segregated high school, Hammond High School in Alexandria. Arlington County closed schools. City of Norfolk closed schools. So it wasn't just Southside. This is statewide.
Yes.
And I went to Fairfax High School that was segregated until the 60s, until a Stanley Smith's family was the first one to integrate it, and I celebrated that last year. So please don't take away from this that somehow this was a South Side issue. Anyone listening? Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Senator Howell.
representing Arlington, I must point out Arlington did not close its schools.
But they had the school board pulled from them.
Okay, we have the, see what you started.
That's another resolution.
We have House Bill 1519, understanding that Senate and House members will be equal on the commission.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
It's been moved and seconded House Bill 1519 be reported. Please indicate on the board.
Ayes 13, no 0.
Ayes 13, no 0. Bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm glad I was heard before 11 o'clock.
Delegate Sickles.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, and I apologize if my voice gives out. I bring to you HJ 51. It is a resolution that is pushed by or supported by the Voices for Virginia's Children. I think you had a similar resolution that Senator Hanger had. The resolution asked Behavioral Health, Department of Education, and Department of Social Services to jointly study the feasibility of developing an early childhood mental health consultation available to all early care and education programs serving children from birth to 5 years of age. And the study will identify the appropriate state agency to scale up a statewide early childhood mental health consultation program, effective models of early childhood mental health consultation, funding streams to support statewide implementation, a plan for scaling up the early childhood mental health workforce that builds off existing resources, and to make recommendations for legislative, regulatory, budgetary, and other actions to implement such a plan. That's what it does. There's apparently a need. Well, we do know we have a need for this, and we have more children that are troubled, and we need to start this as early as possible to keep people out of the school to prison pipeline and all the other expulsions and things like that we've been seeing more of, and more troubled children in our schools. And there are some line amendments to reorder. They're technical. They're reordering the Department of Education and Social Services in the bill. maybe council could explain what the technical amendment actually does, but it just reorders a couple of things. And it doesn't change the,
Madam Chair, I'd like to know what the differences between this and Senator Hanger's bill are.
I don't have that, we have
well, maybe he just
a related bill.
Well, maybe he just supports my bill. Maybe I have it here that it's Sickles Hanger on my sheet. So I thought he had a resolution, but maybe he just likes mine that much.
That there's a related bill.
Okay.
Okay, but we do have some amendments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think that what the amendments do is just change the order and puts the Department of Education as the primary agency.
That's what it does.
I second.
Moved and seconded that the amendments be adopted. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. We have those amendments, and you've heard the resolution. Anyone here in support?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Ashley Everett Arrington with Voices for Virginia's Children. And we want to first thank Delegate Sickles for sponsoring this bill. And we worked with them this fall to understand what early childhood mental health consultation is and, the problem of children being expelled from child care centers. National data indicates that children are expelled from preschool and child care, at really high rates. And I've heard from families that, whose kids have been expelled from child care centers and how difficult that is and how challenging. And we have talked a lot to teachers who wish they had more tools and consultation to be able to support, all the children in their classroom. And early childhood mental health consultation is an evidence-based program that plays a really important role in school success, school readiness, reducing suspensions and expulsions, by addressing challenging behaviors and improving social skills, while also at the same time reducing teacher stress and burnout. And so just really quickly, this model teams mental health professionals with early care and education providers and families to improve social and emotional development and build the capacity of early care and education teachers to support not just those children with challenging behaviors, but all the children in their classroom as well. So we want to thank Delegate Sickles and thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Beth Tolley, and I'm representing NAMI Virginia, and NAMI supports this. Also, you may not know that kids are suspended and expelled 3 times the rate in early childhood as kids in kindergarten through high school. And kids who are expelled or suspended are 10 times as likely to end up dropping out of school or in high school. And a lot of other states, I think 20 or more, have used this model, and it's been effective in impacting that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Mindy Carlin, speaking on behalf of the Virginia Association of Community-Based Providers. We support this bill. Our members are the private sector providers who provide Medicaid services, including intensive in-home, in the home, as well as therapeutic day treatment in the schools. And we support efforts like this to address mental health challenges as early in a child's life as possible. So thank you, Delegate Sickles, and thanks.
Thank you. Anyone in opposition? It's been moved and seconded that HJ 51 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you very much, members of the committee.
Delegate Lindsay.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my first measure before you is HB 105. HB 105 deals with removing the requirements from the Division of Legislative Services to prepare written descriptions of boundaries of congressional and state legislative districts. The bill does not affect the provisions under current law that district boundaries are legally defined by county and city boundaries reported in the decennial census report, or by reference to precincts, parts of precincts, census blocks, or listed statistical reports. What it does, simply speaking, if I just use the example of the 28th Senate District, I've got the Division of Legislative Services has to prepare for this particular example, 10 pages of data talking about how it starts in Prince George, comprised of Dahlgren, things that already, this becomes unnecessary because of what is already in the GPS and the census tracts. So this is just a request to make it simple for them.
Any questions to the delegate?
Move to report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 105 be reported. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, nay.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Delegate Lindsay, I'm going to go to House Bill 108. That is identical to Senate Bill 601. And for your information, this is the bill that designates Election Day, the Tuesday after the first Monday in November, as a state holiday and removes Lee Jackson Day as a state holiday. Do we need to go through all the testimony on this again?
Move to report.
Second. It's moved and seconded that House Bill 108 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye. No. Vote on the board if you're. I just want to remind Senator Norman what this does. Okay.
Ayes 14, noes 1.
Okay, you have one more?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the committee, my last measure before you is HJR 25. This deals with reporting of coal dust blown from moving trains. It requests certain railroad companies to make available to the General Assembly at least annually information on actions and activities likely to have impact on coal dust blown from moving trains in the Commonwealth. This bill, in origin comes from an area of my city where the contention is that there's a great deal of coal dust that impacts health and also winds up on cars. And in the House committee, it was an individual who even brought filters from his air conditioning showing about coal dust. It doesn't mandate that this industry does something specific in the way of coal dust mitigation. It just requires the reporting as it relates to what at least annually, what the code in some respects already mandates, and also is more specific about making sure that it also affords information about coal dust mitigation.
Any questions to the delegate? Are there those here in support of House Joint Resolution 25?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the committee, Bob Shippey with Sierra Club. We thank the delegate. This is a badly needed measure, and I urge you to report it.
Hello, Tanisha Griffin with NVM Environmental Policy Analyst. We support the bill and we thank the delegate for carrying it for several years. I have a testimony from a resident from Lambert's Point in Norfolk. He is a member of the Lambert's Point NVM chapter. Is it okay if I read that?
Just know that he supports it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Kim Jermaine, Virginia LCV, we support the bill.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Rob Bohannon from Hunt and Andrews Kurth, representing Norfolk Southern. Want to make a couple of points. As Delegate Lindsay mentioned, there was a Senate joint resolution in 1997 that requires Norfolk Southern to submit annual reports to the General Assembly about the air quality monitoring. No problem doing that. We've been doing it for over 20 years and have no problem continuing to do so. I think the next report is actually due out in March. We're actually happy to report that at Lambert's Point, coal dust levels averaged less than 1/10 of the EPA regulatory standard in 2019. The highest recorded level in Q4 was less than 1/5 of the federal standard. And it's important to know that the company monitors dust levels at Lambert's Point every 6 minutes. Further, trackside monitors at Alta Vista monitor trains bound for Lambert's Point, reporting information to mines in accordance with Norfolk Southern's coal dust reduction program. We also have a 1-800 dust reporting line, which is posted on the company's website. In 2019, this phone line received 0 calls in Virginia. We've also inquired with the city of Norfolk, determined if they've received any complaints, and can't find any that they have received either. We also take numerous steps at Lambert's Point, including dust suppression agents when the coal cars are unloaded, hoods and wind guards on the conveyor belts that transport the coal to the pier, sprinklers at coal transfer points, and vacuum trucks on the pier itself. HJ 25 goes a little bit further than just the reporting. It says, we need to hold annual citizen input meetings in Roanoke, Richmond, Salem, and Norfolk, which doesn't really make sense if we're not getting any complaints in those areas. It's also important to know that Norfolk Southern doesn't haul coal through the city of Richmond, which is included in the resolution. Furthermore, this resolution targets obviously one specific company. We are not the only coal carrier in the Commonwealth. As an example, you have a large coal export facility at Newport News right there before you go to the Monitor Merrimack Tunnel, not listed as part of the resolution. Really, we feel like this is trying to address a local issue at the state level. We've indicated Delegate Lindsay and others in the area that we're happy to meet with any concerned citizens, but we really have to know who those folks are. When we don't receive complaints, when the city of Norfolk doesn't receive complaints, we don't know who to talk to. When this resolution was brought to the House Rules Committee, there were a number of folks locally that Delegate Lindsay mentioned who came and spoke to the measure. After that hearing, we talked with them for a while about some of the specific issues they were having, gave contact information for the company, said let us know what we can do. That was about 2 weeks ago. Haven't heard any feedback yet from that, what the folks would like us to do there locally. We're really at a loss as to what more needs to be done on this at the moment with the reporting that's been going on for over 20 years. Also, too, we know that the city of Norfolk has offered to facilitate a meeting with a local community leader as a proactive measure to further reach out to the community, and we're understanding that will occur after the legislative session. So wanted to leave those points with you as you consider this, and want you to know that we oppose the resolution.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask staff a question. The fellow that just spoke referenced the 1997 Act by the General Assembly, and I note the language on lines 30 and 31 that the railroad companies be requested to continue to submit annual reports to the General Assembly. Are annual reports submitted to the General Assembly on coal dust? So the focus of this bill really is the public hearing. That's the new part?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. And final word, Madam Chair, and I'll make it very short. I came here 3 years ago with this bill and went to House courts with every assurance being made to me that that they were ready to meet with us. And as it specifically referenced, there is no company specifically that's referenced. It's talking about coal carriers. 3 years ago, every assurance was made, and it was supposed to be facilitated through me. The minute that we left out of the Rules Committee, I heard nothing. I made contacts. There are groups. There's a whole community that very much, very interested in being heard. Every promise was made to me 3 years ago that this would be done. It didn't take place. I came here 2 years ago. Same promises from the same bad actors or from the same individuals being made once more. Right after the session, don't worry about this. We'll meet with you. We'll coordinate with you. I'll say to you that my law office has been in the same place since 1995. And if these people were true to their word, I would have had those contacts. And I gave names as to the individuals and the leaders in the community about this, and still no follow-up. It was only this year, the third time, that when those assurances were given to me again, I said, well, we've done that twice, and I think I would prefer to go a different way. And this is the reason for bringing this measure.
Madam Chair. I have a question for the representative of Norfolk Southern. I think Mr. Bohannon. Does Norfolk Southern have some kind of community liaison in a ongoing permanent role?
I'm not familiar. I know, obviously, the person that handles government relations, that's a part of his role, I know. I don't know if there's anybody specifically that's in this role within the company, because my interaction, obviously, is fairly limited when it comes to work with the company.
Follow-up question, Madam Chair.
Senator Favola.
So there really isn't an obvious or advertised way for citizens to contact the railroad when, in fact, they're feeling and and in reality are experiencing a negative impact.
Madam Chair, I would say that the biggest way is the coal dust reporting line that's on the company's website, that's been out for some time. And then obviously the city of Norfolk, obviously most people, if you have an issue in your locality, you'd reach out to your city. So we actually just reach out to the city to say, what have you guys been hearing on this? And we didn't get any answers.
Madam Chair, final question. You can imagine that not everybody would know they should be calling the city because there's an issue with a train that's not run by the city. I mean.
Yeah, yes, Madam Chair, I would say absolutely. That's why we have the coal dust reporting hotline for the company.
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
Mr. Bohannon, and I'm not picking on you, but Norfolk Southern is moving their headquarters to Atlanta. They just announced this week they're taking 100 jobs out of Roanoke. What presence does Southern have in Virginia anymore except for railroad tracks?
Madam Chair, to answer Senator Deeds' question, I don't have a specific count, but the Port of Virginia, obviously, integral part of Virginia's transportation network. Norfolk Southern, heavily supportive of that, and then they run about 2,000 miles of tracks, which obviously are run by maintenance and engineering folks throughout the Commonwealth as well.
Thank you. Okay, we have House Joint Resolution 25 before us.
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that House Joint Resolution 25 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? That's
Madam
reported.
Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you. Okay, we have one left, and we've tried to contact Delegate Sullivan, so we'll just move this to next Friday.
Okay.
Okay, so we're done.